Love this. Isn't that true? Pain wakes people up. Pain can be a teacher. And so let's not necessarily wallow in it, make it worse, but recognize that the pain is there for a reason. Physical pain wants you to do something different, but so does emotional pain. It wants us to do something different. So, as we conclude this class, we're going to be going back into our lives a little more well-informed. And we could allow the pain that inspired us to take this class to get us to do something different. Have you guys heard of Joseph Campbell? He's a so famous mythologist, and for those of you who don't know Joseph Campbell, he studied all the world's myths, ancient to modern, and the myths that he was particularly interested in were the ones that involved a person who had a tragedy in their life, but overcame that tragedy. And so the arc, the story, the myth was about the arc of tragedy to triumph, and how did the person overcome? And what Campbell discovered was, in all of the myths, it didn't matter what part of the world, which culture, from what time, in this particular thematic story line, the narrative unfolded in 6 steps. Okay, so here's the first step. And since you took this class, likely this step has emerged for you. It's called the call. And the call is to get the hero to go out from what is comfortable, what is familiar, and engage in a process of change. Now, the hero very likely is resisting. And that's how it's going to show up for us. We don't want to change. That's actually the second step of the process. And so understanding that we're going to have some resistance to changing, that's part of it. So nobody gets super excited about changing, because changing is hard. And intuitively, I think we understand this, and this is the third step in the process. It's road of trials. Nobody wants the road of trials. It's like, take this cup, please, I don't want this. But let me tell you something, folks. If the call has arisen in your life and you're stuck in refusal, it's already the road of trials. We all know that, right? And so we might as well get going. The pain in our life is there for a reason. It's there to get us to do something different. It's not there to be medicated away. There's some spiritual purifying need that needs to happen, and if you don't engage, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss the reason that you're here, like the big teaching. So, in the process of you engaging with the difficulties, with the demons, whatever you want to call it, dark night of the soul, you're going to get the gift, the boon of self-knowledge. You're going to start to understand a little bit more about yourself and your relationship to yourself and your relationship to others, where you fit. You're a unique puzzle piece. There's, in the whole history of the universe, 13.8 billion years this time around, there's never been a being like you. And for however long it lasts, there won't be another one. So unique are you, are we, these puzzle pieces, and we have a place to fit. But nobody is going to slot us into that place. We have to find that place ourselves, and the only way to do that is to start to understand yourself. Work with the past, work with the shadow, work with the energy of impulse. Don't deny any of that stuff. Even if it's hard, learn how to work with it. Sit in the fire of being yourself. Okay, and so then the boon comes, you get the self-knowledge, and you go from one pattern that seemed very, very solid to emerging another pattern. That's the way systems evolve. Feed enough new information, energy and information, matter through a system. Bifurcation point, something new is going to show up. You give birth to your new self. You get to come home to your authentic self. Okay? But that authentic self, that's not a solid thing either, okay? Don't forget, that authentic self is still in process. It doesn't end. And so coming home to that authentic self is not going to be challenge-free. It's going to be an invitation to maintain your practice, stay engaged, so you can continue on the arc of your story. And then, so next, there's an imperative, and this stage is what makes the hero heroic. Healing yourself and finding health and happiness just solely for yourself, that's a great accomplishment, but it's not heroic. When you heal yourself, you come to health and happiness for yourself, and then you start to share your gifts with others, that's when you're heroic. That's when it brings meaning to your life, because then it's just not about you. And folks, that's how the world is going to change. It's going to change by all of us as individuals working on our own stuff, changing ourselves on our cushions, in our family, at work, over years of practicing, not giving up. And then as we awaken in that process, we'll get more and more and more skillful. We'll start to be a well of positivity, a well of wisdom. People are going to get energized from us. That's how it's going to happen. There's no other way. We have to do it for ourselves first. So this is the hero's journey. And I put this here because, especially at this last class, we've been talking about so much about story. I just want you to know that let's not junk the story. Let's just consciously author the next sentences, paragraphs, chapters, right? Let's be the conscious authors. All right, so isn't that amazing? Okay, so constructive practice. In the movie that we're doing, we're going to teach our participants how to dream a new dream, how to consciously envision. It's almost like 24/7 working on yourself. Yeah, while you're awake, but give yourself some conscious intentions before you fall asleep. See if you can influence the subconscious in the dream state too. Dream a new dream for yourself. If you're depressed, it's only because you're not being creative enough. And people may hear that and feel angry that I don't understand the depth of your depression. I want people to know that I'm not making light of suffering. I'm just saying that that state is not an absolutely solid, impenetrable state that can't be changed with very conscious and deliberate creative activity. That's what I'm saying. And it may take a while. And you may need some medicine, and you may need help from therapists and physicians, but you got to participate too. That's what I'm saying, okay? Because it's not just going to come from outside of you. Okay, we looked at the negative appraisals. Well, here's some positive ones, because it works both ways. So challenge again. When you meet the challenges in your life and you feel like you're a person of destiny, if you really feel that, like this is my epic life and I'm going to do something with it, and damn the torpedoes, I'm going, burn the boats, I'm going. Feel determined, like do it for yourself. Read the book, make the phone call, do the first action. Then it may be that you look back on the things that have happened in the past that felt like the tragedies, and you might, or the losses, and you might see the gift in them. Like the pain, the gift of the pain was that it woke me up. And then all of a sudden you can be grateful for all the lousy stuff. Take some work. Okay, I understand that. You can start to see opportunities in your life where you didn't before. And what's the emotion that goes with opportunity? When you really have an opportunity that falls in your lap, you get excited. It feels like, oh, okay, let's do this. You start working your way through your own narrative inside your own mind, talking back to those old scripts. You're going to start to feel more comfortable in your own skin. You're going to start loving yourself, meaning wanting yourself to be happy. And you're going to start feeling like, I'm okay. And when you do, you're going to start feeling confident. And that confidence is going to radiate into the world. It's different when you show up with some confidence. It's different at the job interview. It's different in your relationship. It's different with your kids. It's different with your parents. When you can own who you are, you know, quirky or neurotic, whatever. Don't get rid of the fun stuff. Keep it, right? But own who you are. And then this last one, justice. When you start to see there's a harmonic in your life, yeah, lousy things do happen to good people too, and it's chaotic. But most of the time, you can feel good about how you cultivate your internal experience, and there's some justice in that. And owning yourself in that way, owning your life in that way, feels really good. You can get some peace out of that. So all of these, imagine if you were filled with all of these emotions the majority of the time. I'm not saying all the time, but the majority. And know that you could steer your attention and use your mindfulness skills to move in the direction. Okay. Now, love this. So we do not receive wisdom. We discover it after a journey through the wilderness which no one can make for us and no one can spare us. This is why don't medicate your pain. I'm not saying don't relieve the intensity if it's too much. Please hear me. But I'm also saying don't medicate it to the extent that you don't feel it anymore. Because it's not going to serve its spiritual evolutionary purpose. So much of what accounts for life in modern times is so flat and it has no depth. Like people don't go inside and really understand the incredible depth and nuance of what's happening in their internal lives. And it's all about what you see and you hear and taste and smell, all out there, you know, in connection with the objects. And then our society tells us what to like and what not to like. Our society is scripting a narrative for us. Script your own narrative. Don't let them medicate your pain all away. Keep some of your pain to move you forward, okay? To bond you with other human beings. We're all here suffering through our own dark nights of the soul. Nobody gets a free pass. And so we can bond with that too. Not to wallow, but simpatico, like I see you're suffering. You know, let me help. Okay, so what's this? That's a fractal. That fractal is an image made by a computer, and you put an equation in there, and what it does is it runs over and over and over again, and it creates a pattern that repeats at every level of scale, and that is infinite. And I think this is an amazing metaphor for human beings, because at every level of scale, we have self-similarity. There's part of us that's our harmonic, that's a pattern that keeps showing up. And we're infinitely complex. Now, this fractal is called the Coast of Britain. And the reason they call it the Coast of Britain is because researchers, or not researchers, but ministers in the government in Britain wanted to know how much surface area there was in Great Britain, and so they wanted to measure the coastline. And what they discovered was you can't measure the coastline. It's really weird. If you measure the coastline with a yardstick, you're going to get a certain number. If you measure it with a ruler with 12 inches, you'll get another number. If you measure it on the level of an inch or a centimeter, you get another number. And if you measure it on the level of a grain of sand, it's another. The answer to the question, how big is the coast of Britain, it depends on the measurement. It goes from a number that's a real number to infinity. What you are is the coast of Britain. You can't be measured unless you measure yourself. If you put a ruler to yourself and you say, I am this, you're going to get an answer. But that's not the answer. I just want you to know, if you got a little bit more skilled at looking inside, you're going to see the flicker of the nuance. And you're going to be measuring at a very discrete level, and that's when you're going to find your infinity. Okay? All right. This was one of your first slides, and this is going to be your last slide. Okay? This is the process. Now, hopefully, when you see this slide, you'll understand a little bit more of the depth. This is the process we're engaged in. The pain experience shows up. We have to meet it with some faith and some inspiration. If we don't bring that much energy and effort to our practice, you know, it's going to go nowhere. Investigate information. Don't stop. You got modules to read and videos to watch. Don't stop there, though. When you're done, get something else. Play the what's next game and take yourself to the bookstore again. Find the next book that's going to wake you up a little bit more. Find the next teacher that's going to wake you up a little bit more. Don't stop. Put effort into those practices. That's how you're going through your actions. That's how you're going to re-script things. Then, is life going to present you with lousy things? Well, of course it is. But you'll be enabled to show up with more awareness and composure. Just like when I heard the gong at the meditation retreat. That's what creates, that awareness allows for the composure. It allows for the change. The insights come. Nobody teaches you that stuff. The new information is self-generated. More energy and information, but it comes from you. And then it's like, yeah, this works. Keep working it, you guys. Keep working it.